everyone. Welcome to the new Frontier Africa. I am AbdulRasheed Abubakar from Washington, D.C. On the show today, I'll be talking about ENDSARS and end police brutality in Nigeria. On the show to discuss this with me this afternoon, I have Mr. Mutiu Ezemma, the Director of International Business, PG County in Maryland, United States. I also have Mr. Auwal Ibrahim Musa, popularly known as Rafsanjani, joining me from Abuja, Nigeria. Also, I have a journalist, Mr. Mutiu Olawuyi, joining from New York. He is the editor-in-chief, New York Parrot. Hello, Mr. Martin.
Hello, good evening and good afternoon, Mr. Musa and Mr. Olawuyi, and of course, Rashid. Great to see you again, my friend.
Thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. Also, I say welcome to the show, Mr. Auwal Ibrahim Musa, Rafsanjani, my friend. How are you?
Thank you very much, and it's my pleasure to be part of this show, and I hope to connect with the rest of the speakers.
Yeah, thank you so much. My friend, journalist, Mr. Mutiu Olawuyi, thank you for joining from New York.
Thank you so much for having me on the show. I hope to share my views with regards to what is happening to our people in Nigeria.
Yes, thank you
for having me.
Okay, let me start with Mr. Auwal Musa from Abuja, Nigeria. Mr. Musa, we've seen things that are trending on social media based on things that have, that have been also seen on TV, across the world. The United Nations Secretary General also, spoke out on the ongoing issue in Nigeria, and also the African Union, the European Union, and also the United Kingdom Parliament have, expressed their displeasure to the brutality going on in Nigeria. But my question to you, Mr. Musa, is how did we get to this point? From peaceful protests to looting and destroying of properties and critical infrastructure.
Thank you very much, and once again, good evening to all of you and the viewers. It is very sad development for Nigeria and for Africa, because what we have witnessed, it was a missed opportunity to carry out sincere and serious reform in the security sector, which Nigerians have been yearning and advocating for over the years. The level of killing and the level of criminality and insecurity in the country is such that any serious government will have to, take decisive action to address those, fundamental problems in the security sector. But I think, over the years, Nigerian government, they think that civil society, advocacy on security sector reform is just lamentation. And now we are seeing the consequences of refusing to take proactive measure to address the insecurity gaps, in our country. Now, of course, the Nigerian people, I think not only the young people, even the middle-aged people, they are so much frustrated and tired of the level of hopelessness and the bad governance, particularly fueled by corruption, because the insecurity we are facing today in Nigeria has a greater root in corruption, because corruption fuel insecurity, corruption fuels underdevelopment, corruption fuel all sorts of things that will make the country not developed. And the impunity at which some of the public officials they go about doing this has given this room for total collapse in our security sector accountability. So if government had listened to civil society, if government had listened to Nigerian people, we will not be where we are today. So the young people, many Nigerian.
Rafsanjani, let me take you up on that. When the whole peaceful protest started, I want to show you this video when it's available, in the studio. I want to show you this video. This is how it all started. And immediately it started, the government, as we were told, disbanded SARS. When the video is ready, I want you to see this video.
Yes.
Then you can respond. Then you can respond to it.
Okay.
Yes, I want you to look at this video.
Okay.
Intimidated. You walk around here, you see policemen and women with their guns. You see security agents with their guns. And I ask you,
who have been tired of the level of insecurity, the level of some of the security, personal brutality, and even corruption. They got tired and they mobilized and they come to express in a very peaceful manner their demands of the need to, reform the security sector, particularly the police that they interface on daily basis in their life. And the government quickly responded by saying that they disbanded, but there has been mistrust between Nigerian people and the government, because government will say something and they will not do that. And because this same SARS has been disbanded last year and they still come back, to operate. So this kind of mistrust, led to many people to believe that whatever government, say or does, they didn't mean it, they were not sincere. So even when the government pronounced the disbandment of the SARS, Nigerians did not believe because of the past. In the past, they made promises and those promises never actualized. And I think, it is important government do everything possible to restore that confidence and trust on its citizens. Otherwise, you cannot continue like that.
So, Mr. Zanjani, so you are the executive director for the Civil Society Legislative Advocacy Center in Abuja, as I mentioned in the beginning of the show. Now, I want to get a sense of, fairness and truthfulness from you on what exactly is going on ground in Nigeria. Now, you are telling us and our viewers across the world that there is mistrust between the government and the people. When the government said, let us forget about what was said last year. Immediately, the government said, we disbanded SARS. Correct, right?
Yes.
Okay. So when are we going to have that civil conversation?
Okay. Yeah. To be fair to the Nigerian government and the Inspector General of Police, he had actually met with some of the protesters,
right,
and also met with National Human Rights Commission,
right,
to discuss on how to implement a report that is aimed at reforming or addressing some of these challenges. So that meeting happened, but like I said, because of so many unfulfilled promises in the past, some people did not actually believe that government meant well. And secondly, Nigeria is having a lot of people who are, ready or trying to take advantage of situation like this to ventilate their own,
anger,
anger and agenda, and sometimes not in a very constructive way, maybe perhaps in a violent way, and that is why we've seen that. And then secondly, I think the provocation that the security operative.
I don't want us to get to that point yet, Mr. Musa. Let me give Mr. Martin from the diaspora, opportunity to also respond to the video and to respond to some of your views. Mr. Martin.
Well, thank you very much. Look, if you're looking at the situation in Nigeria from an outsider looking in who is a Nigerian, obviously it is heartbreaking, it is heart-wrenching, and I first of all have to say my condolences to those that have lost their lives and those that have lost property. But Nigeria is our country. It's a country that we have to make sure is working, and is working for everybody. I know that there is a very serious concern about SARS for quite some time. Yes, it has ended in theory, but in principle, it looks like it was still going on. There were still a lot of issues that were not addressed. And, every society, much like in the US, security is number one. I know that the country has gone through very painful events during this coronavirus, compounded by frustrations. But the truth is, somebody has to take ownership. We cannot punt every problem in Nigeria. Somebody has to rise up and say, look, we made mistakes. There needs to be a conversation to thoroughly analyze how this played out. For Nigeria to be number one economy in the world, and for these images to be shown on every social media, on global television, it affects our economy. It affects everybody in that country. But we need a dialogue, a very serious dialogue that can once and for all put this issue to rest. So the grievances that the youths have, of course, they're nothing new. But the problem is where we are today and the response, poor response, awful response. Where do we move forward? How do we...
Poor response, awful response from who?
Well, it is very difficult to, if you're not on the ground, to pinpoint, but there's information out there that there were soldiers.
Okay, based on the information that you have at your disposal, give me a sense of from poor response, awful response from who? From the government or from the people?
You have to play this fairly on the government, right? I mean that's the responsibility. The government is the government of the people.
Yes,
that's the bottom line. There is no government without the people,
right?
And if the people are agitated and angry, and lives are being lost, the government has to bear responsibility, because it is its responsibility to protect its people.
Right. You as an economist, look at as of today, we have information that over 200 billion worth of property have been destroyed so far in Lagos. I'm not talking about other part of Nigeria. Critical infrastructure of government of Lagos State, the Palace of Oba of Lagos, was attacked, and also the Igboshiri Magistrate Court was also attacked. The Ikoyi prison was also under attack it took the intervention of the police and the military to keep it a little bit, in the medium. Now, many other Nigerian Port Authority was attacked. The Lagos State Television, where I also, worked briefly before, transitioning to the diaspora, also was under attack. So these are critical infrastructure. These are places where people work. So my whole idea is, when I saw the video I showed, Mr. Rafsanjani earlier, was that we want to kind of trigger a conversation with the government, because we are now in 21st century. We are no more in 1985 when SARS was created. We are now in 2021. So we have to have a constructive engagement. When are we going to have that conversation? That was my concern. So that was why I said, bad response from who? We want to really quick, because a lot of millions of people are watching, the show from Nigeria, from across Africa, and also in the diaspora. So people actually want to see some reactions. So
yeah, there's no question that there is failure both local, state, and federal, right? I mean, the country doesn't operate on autopilot.
yes,
Somebody is making decisions. Somebody is way engaged in sensing, analyzing. Compare it to what happened here in the US. We've been here now the last 2-3 months. We've seen protests on the US side also. Compare how it was handled here and how it was handled in Nigeria. That shows you clearly the difference. We're not asking Nigeria to become US overnight, but the loss of life is completely unacceptable. Nobody is condemning loss of property.
So before we talk about the loss of life, because I have another video that I'm going to show you, and I want each and every one of us to look at the video critically very well. But before that, let me get Mr. Mutiu's insight. Mr. Mutiu, from New York, what do you think about what you've seen so far? Your reaction?
Thank you once again. From the media perspective, I don't want to attach any emotion to anything. As a media expert who has been following every bit of things going on in the country, one will notice that at the initial stage of this protest, there was what we can term as genuineness, until the so-called hoodlums and those who have got their own internal or hidden agenda, either the opposition party or those who are struggling for succession, like IPOB. If you have heard, if you have got the audio of Kano, you will notice that all what happened in Lagos, he has a very good hand in it, very obvious. He sent some boys to join the protest and damage the plan, the genuine plan of the people. IPOB.
IPOB. What is IPOB?
I mean the Kano, the Biafra, the association for the Biafra.
Okay,
I'm talking about the one led
you are
by
talking
Kano.
about the IPOB.
OB, yeah.
Okay.
If you listen to the audio, about 15-minute audio, I took my time to listen and critically.
I listened to the audio, but I try to criticize. I try to critique the source of that audio, so I don't want to mention it. I only use that video because I have a source of the actual, camera guy who, shot the first video that I showed. And the second video that I was going to show, the DW German news agency correspondent, she was on ground at that spot on the Lekki Toll when the incident was happening. She also reported on the second video that I will show you later. But, you are mentioning that, it all started with all genuineness and, some elements of, other party hijacked the peaceful protest struggle.
All right.
Okay, continue.
So in a nutshell, I felt very bad personally when there's any protest You must have pushed people to the wall before they could react to that extent. And you know, Nigeria, they can endure. They've endured a lot for over 60 years, or let me say for over 60 years, ruled by the non-indigene, transferred to the indigene, and then we have
When
the
you say
dogs.
non, when you say non-indigene, what do you mean?
I mean the colonial masters.
Okay.
You know, and then after leaving, they handed it over to their puppets, and they keep controlling indirectly up to today. And that's why anyone who is clamoring for peaceful protests should understand that negotiation, dialogue is the best solution to achieve that.
Okay,
And
thank you.
after handing the task, I was expecting that there should be an end to that, because that's the ultimate. But this thing transformed to another anger.
Okay. Don't let us go to that now. I want us to critical, because a lot of people want react. People specifically, want us to talk about the real issues, and I want us to talk about the real issues. Mr. Rafsanjani, you heard Mr. Martin spoke. Mr. Martin is an economic expert. He's a director of international business. He traveled to Nigeria many times with a lot of big investors wanting to invest in Nigeria. So he's one of the best, brain we have in the diaspora that promoting Nigeria investment opportunities. He's also promoting development of Nigeria, tourism sector and many other things. So now, I want you to respond to him. You've heard what he said. He said poor response from the government of Nigeria, apparently triggered what we are witnessing today. What do you think?
Well, I think the truth of the matter is that the initial protest, or the initial intention of the protesters, was very genuine, and you could see that they were not violent. They were carrying out, the protest in a non-violent manner, until when, some other people who also have their own, agenda, looking for opportunity to, seize that, opportunity to begin to do other things. And that is why you could see that the original protesters were not part of any group that were vandalizing or destroying, private or public properties, because that was not the original intention. I think the original intention was to see how government can genuinely deal with issues of insecurity in the country, which every Nigerian has been expressing concern over. And I can tell you that, there was some, kind of progress.
So how far, because I know you are very active, on this space. How far have your organization got itself involved in mitigating between the government and the the leadership of the protesters?
Okay, there are many interventions we try to do to, cushion the effects, or to get, a positive response on some of these demands. And one of it is that I was part of the National Human Rights Commission delegation that met with the Inspector General of Police to present some of the key concerns that Nigerians have put. And then the Inspector General, of Police actually show his seriousness and commitment and agree. And a committee was even set up to look at some of this. And as a matter of fact, some of the governors, they went ahead to set up committee to investigate those allegations of brutality and human rights abuses. And I thought it was a very good step, taking what we anchor, And secondly, we also, when we noted the aggression and the initial intention, we also caution the people to say, look, let's stay focused. Let's ensure that we do not allow people who have different agenda.
So
give
us a sense of the meeting, your meeting with the IG. What are the things that your committee presented to the IG of the police?
So some of the key issues has to do with genuine, security or police reform in the country. Number one. Number two, we also insist that there must be training of the police officers to conform their activities, within the context of human rights, because sometimes, lack of this training can lead to, the response we have been seeing, sometimes. So then again, we also say that, look, there must be even, a proper reorientation, beyond just the training, but there must be proper reorientation. And then more importantly, we noted that there has been poor welfare and remuneration of
that was what I was going to ask.
We must encourage the Nigerian police to look more decent, to look more attractive in doing their work, and also to carry out their work responsibly, because lack of facilities or equipment, and lack of also decent living has hampered their effectiveness. Nigerian police, they perform in other operations outside Nigeria. Why is it that in Nigeria it is becoming difficult? So there are obvious challenges: lack of budgetary allocation for them to do that, and also lack of motivation, because some of them, they are due for promotion and they have not been given promotion, and this can affect their psyche. It can affect their motivation to do that. So we presented all this to IG, and IG, happily agreed that, look, they are going to do something and they are serious and they meant it. Suddenly, when the protest continued, especially in Lagos, it then took a different dimension. By some people who felt that it is an opportunity to also bring their own issue using this platform that many Nigerians have bought across the country. No religious, no ethnic identity, no geographical identity. Every Nigerian, is saying that we need a reform. We need, security sector reform. So there was a kind of concession until when some people decided to.
Madam Ahmed, let me cut you short before we go too far on that. I don't want to get to. I just want to get a sense of that meeting first before I bring in Mr. Martin again to give us economic analysis on, how this whole thing, would affect Nigeria going into recession and other things. But before I get Mr. Martin back, we'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll continue on the New Frontier Africa. Welcome back to the New Frontier Africa. I am AbdulRasheed Abubakar. On the show today, we are talking about the ENDSARS and End Police Brutality protests across Nigeria. On the show to discuss this with me, I have Mr. Auwal Ibrahim Musa, Rafsanjani, popularly known as Rafsanjani. He is the Executive Director, Civil Society Legislative Advocacy Center in Nigeria. You also sit on the board of Transparency International and also Amnesty International. Also, I have Mr. Martin Ima, who is the director for PG County International Business here in Prince George's County in Maryland. Also, I have Mr. Mutiu Olawuyi, the editor-in-chief newspaper in New York. Mr. Mutiu. Mr. Mutiu.
I'm listening.
Are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I'm listening.
Your response to Mr. Auwal.
I've listened to Mr. Auwal comprehensively. What I found out is that they're still on the same page with the government with regards to the procedures. So I'm talking about how to go about solving this problem. I just want to pinpoint something from the interview Channel TV had with Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He complained that the government were very slow. Okay. You were on ground because that's what he said. He said he was initially accused, but the main concern, as far as we are concerned, the implementation of the proposal made by the protesters.
Okay.
The action was very slow.
Okay.
They did not, there's been between something and saying you are going to implement something. And people are tired of promises. And that was what really
triggered the whole
opportunity for penetration. Clearly, is it really true, whether low, or you feel that because of the normal procedure of getting things done, that's what to jump into the conclusion, but from the source, which I believe, because it's also part of the government, he said they were slow, and that resulted to escalation of the protest.
Okay, thank you so much. Mr. Ima, let's talk about the economic implications of the whole mayhem and the whole fracas as it unfolds, because another incident happened today in Lagos, in which I don't want to go into detail of that.
Yes, for us it's frustrating, like you rightly said, and I must, full disclaimer, I'm here representing myself as a Nigerian American in the diaspora. I'm not representing the county which I work for. This, Abdul, when there is any bad news in any economy in today's world, the ripple effect is seismic. Sooner or later, you will see countries issuing travel bans, asking for closures of their embassies, opportunities for economic development, trade are seized. The economy is impacted. But more important is really life. And Nigerians deserve to be happy. They deserve to be safe, like every other part of Africa. How shameful is it? How shameful is it that the number one economy on the continent is the one that is being paraded? So the impact is that you have investors that are discouraged. And I hope as a nation, our leadership, thinks through the impact of bad media. Also, the country is a very dynamic country. We're not the only ones that are made up of different tribes or different religions, ethnic groups. So we have to be very, very cautious. It is very, very dangerous to single out a group. It's very irresponsible to point fingers. That's actually part of the frustrations that you're having today. We have to think collectively as a Nigerian. A Yoruba person's problem is a person's problem. An Hausa person's problem is a Yoruba person's problem. Any of these three groups, their problems are the same problems with any other minority groups in Nigeria.
Yes.
It is very easy to get sidetracked. Hence, it's almost like throwing gasoline into fire. You can't blame any group for a seismic problem such as this. All it does is, quite honestly, leaves a very poor taste.
More tension.
Agitation is very irresponsible. Our leaders and media have to stay away from that.
So
we have the ability to focus on economic development, economic empowerment as a collective nation. If you start pointing fingers, this issue can only get worse, and nobody wants that.
Okay, so Mr. Martin, so you see, you've seen some element of bad media, you know, in the whole entire scenario. You've seen some element of bad media?
Well, look, we live in a social media environment. You witness here in the US where, you know, any news can go viral, right, and cause more attention.
Right.
From the perspective of economic development, economic empowerment of the youth, which really the common denominator to all this problem is what? No jobs. Okay, no youth that has a job today wants to be out there to die like chicken. None. Be you from the north, east, west, north, or south, irrespective of your religion. You see, and this is what breaks my heart every day about Nigeria. Of course, media or individuals or groups have their own whatever ideologies, which is, you know, it's a democracy. It's okay for everybody to express themselves. But we have to collectively look at the nation as though we are one. When your brother is hurting, hold him, have a conversation with him, understand that what impacts him, if you can't feed his family and you're not feeding yours, everybody's suffering. So, you know, I'm not going to blame this on the media. I'm not a media expert by any imagination, but I think we all have a collective responsibility as a nation to think collectively about what is good for the country. If we don't do that, yeah, it's not going to help the situation. And I will highly discourage that everybody, you know, calm down, let our leaders step up and unite the country so we can have one voice. So and focus on job creation in this country.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Martin. Now, but the specific economic issues that I want you to talk about, you have not talked about that, but I'll come back to that later. Let's push forward a little bit. I want to show you another video, Mr. Rafsanjani. I want us to look at this video and critique, you know, the actors in the video, because I saw something that many people, I think, are now looking at. But I want you to see the video. When we see see the video, then we talk about, you know, what you think.
Well, my reaction first and foremost, right from the beginning, we did not encourage the Nigerian army to come into issue that has to do with civilian. The police are capable of addressing this issue. And in my opinion, it tantamount to undermining the police. because the police did not complain to say that they are overwhelmed, that they cannot handle this issue. So for me, that was my first reaction.
So those guys that you saw there, the Nigerian army.
Yeah, the second reaction that I just want to also say is that first and foremost, up to now, from all the investigation that so far we've had, we have not got any family to say my daughter or my son or my brother has been killed in this place. So again, we have to also be very careful about some of the images, some of the because there may be possibility of fake news. There may be possibility of spreading, some, videos that are not related to the particular, incident.
This particular video. Are you familiar with DW News Agency?
Yeah, they interview me a lot. Yeah, I know them.
So the correspondent of DW Agency in Nigeria at that spot reported that she was a German, and she said actually she was lying down on the ground for an hour.
Okay, now the issue is that
she said what they cannot verify was if the gunshot was from the army or from the crowd, because the army actually approached the protester to talk to them first. That was her comment. It was widely televised this morning on DW, and she said she's still in Lagos. She said the army came to speak to appease the protesters, and all of a sudden, gunshot. Where the gunshot was coming from, nobody can actually confirm as of this morning. In fact, the governor of Lagos State also mentioned that the state have launched investigation into what happened on that Tuesday in Lagos.
Yeah, well, it's very interesting because there are a lot of Nigerian journalists, that are doing a lot of investigative journalism, right. And we look forward to seeing their report on the actual action that has happened there, in terms of casualty, in terms of the people that actually do that, who have done the firing, in that place. Because it is always through this, authentic verification that we can be able to ascertain the identity, the real identity of the people that have done. Because like we all know, Nigeria is full of so many people with so many anger and frustration and wanting to look for opportunity to capitalize on that, to do whatever they think they can do. So at this point, maybe perhaps we need to allow credible investigation to happen, so that we can then be able to form an opinion on that. Otherwise, I am not in the position to say it is really the Nigerian army, because a lot of also reports is coming that some people are wearing army uniform, some people are wearing police uniform as camouflage. And since the country is not able to detect that, it is like the whole issue that we are talking about. There's a looseness in the way and manner in which security is done in Nigeria. So anybody can, wear, police uniform. Anybody can wear army uniform. And a lot of armed robbery that happen, you see people with, security uniform carrying out those kind of things. So I think there's need to carry out serious investigation that can be able to confirm the identity of the people that have done that kind of atrocity, and then to also find out from the families of the protesters to also testify missing their loved one, because I want to believe that the investigation should also reach out to families of the protesters to come forward to say my son or my daughter or my brother or my sister or my
do your organization also engage government at the state level?
Yeah, we work. Actually, we operate also in Lagos. We operate in other states, in Nigeria. But then we are not competent. We did not have the skill to carry out, this, investigative, authentic, this kind of investigation to confirm whether the identity of the people are actually Nigerian army or fake soldier or people wearing just uniform. We didn't have that capacity and the ability to do that, but we look forward to seeing those groups that have speciality, that have the capability to help Nigeria and build the identity of the people who have committed these atrocities against their fellow citizens.
Before we call it a day, I would like to get more reaction from Mr. Martin Ezemma. Mr. Martin, what is your take?
So, great discussion. I think this is time for us to look inwards and see how do we solve this problem? How do we avoid this ongoing embarrassment? Quite honestly, national embarrassment. Globally, you're Nigerian. You know what it means when you say you're Nigerian out here. It is very difficult. We face very difficult times, but what is going on in Nigeria? What are we supposed to do? The most important thing I think is we need to now rely on technology as a solution for free and fair election. It sounds crazy. It sounds like something from out of Mars, but blockchain technology that can allow us to have free election and also stop cash transactions with the federal government, both federal, state, local. We need to plug some holes in Nigeria to mitigate corruption and unfairness in the system. There's not going to be much change unless you have free and fair election where anybody can come and run the election in Nigeria, win fairly, undisputed. Nigeria should be a test case. Other countries are trying to do it. We should get in line. And lastly, making sure that local, state, and federal government is no longer spending cash. We need to track how money is moving around in Nigeria to avoid corruption. If we plug those two holes, I believe as a Nigerian, our future is bright ahead of us. We need to end this. It is not acceptable. We need to get back on track. Our leaders have to take responsibility from each region, whether you're from north, south, east, or west. Come together. Talk to these youths. They're all our brothers and sisters. There's no day a life that is lost in the east or north or south benefits anybody. That's not who we are. We're better people, and the world will see the better part of Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mutiu. Your reaction.
Thank you so much. I've gathered a lot of information from my colleagues. One thing I just want to talk about is from the media perspective. We have a long way to go in Nigeria with this aspect of the media, especially the emerging media. It's damaging a lot of things in the country. The misinformation, fake news, it's led to even a lot of distractions that we could have curbed if we were truly genuine. I think patriotic journalism should be part of what we should imbibe as journalists, especially Nigerian journalists. Destructive journalism will not bring anything other than destruction. And that's what we have seen during these protests. Nigerians to be united, only one voice. This is the first time we have the youth coming together to say enough is enough, which is genuine. I expect that we should continue in that path. Peace is the only way that we can have progress. There is no way you come up with violence and you achieve anything meaningful. Violence will never bring anything positive to any demography. We want the progressive Nigeria, we want progressive Africa. And to do that, we must be mindful of what we share online, what we share with people, and be ambassadors of peace anywhere we find ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Martin Ezemma, the Director of International Business, PG. He representing the diaspora and also himself on the show today. Mr. Mutiu Olawuyi, also Editor-in-Chief, New York Parrot. Thank you so much. Mr. Auwal, what do you have to tell our people in the diaspora and also all around the world?
Well, what I want to tell people that are out there in diaspora is to still have believe in Nigeria, to have faith in Nigeria. We should definitely overcome the challenges that we have. I believe that every other country, they have their specific challenges, But what is important is, with our continued engagement, I believe that, we can find a way to, resolve some of the challenges that we have that are, possible to address. I think, let us continue to encourage, peace, stability in all the messages that we are sending out. I know that a lot of people out there are frustrated. They are frustrated. They are not happy with the way things are going there, but they can also contribute in a very positive way toward addressing those problems, through amicable, suggestion and sending messages that can create hope, not really, create, more tension, in our country. As we cannot, afford to destabilize the country, because Nigeria, is such a country that if you have challenges in Nigeria, it will affect other countries in Africa because of the size and the population that we have. So we hope that the people in diaspora can continue to positively contribute and demand for accountability in our political system in the country, because they are already contributing economically. The income that is coming from diaspora is such a huge income, and people like Mr. Martin that are creating business opportunity for the country. I think we should encourage that, and I want to thank them for their belief in this country and the effort to bring together and unite the country and make it great, and great. Thank you.
Thank you for watching the New Frontier Africa. Until we meet again, I say have a blessed day. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.